Welcome, Solarah here. I hope you guys are doing well. As I said in the last recording, I do have quite a few downloads that I wanted to share with you guys. So I'm probably going to break it into separate videos. I think maybe 3 videos. There might be a connecting thread. There often is. But let's get into what this video and reading is centered upon. I'm going to just share with you the downloads and then we're going to get into it. Okay, so I heard that this can't be hidden in the dark anymore as you come back into your body. This can't be hidden in the dark anymore as you come back into your body. And one card that is from a deck that I created called my Karmic Chronicles deck has been like haunting me for the past 24 hours. It keeps on falling out. Same card. And it's the card that says they are trying to figure out how much you know. They are trying to figure out how much you know. Another download I was getting was that there's been an attempted temple desecration. And the attempted temple desecration, it has to do very specifically with crown and third eye fuckery, which I've been feeling very strongly over the past, few days. And another thing that occurred earlier on today, I started smelling a lot of smoke. I started smelling a lot of smoke, but there was no physical reason for me smelling a lot of smoke. And then my eyes started to water as if I was in the midst of smoke. I could smell it and I was reacting in the physical like it was real. And so then the download that came through was smoke in the eyes, but also there may be for some of you, beings who, and this feels more like it's practitioner based, people working with practitioners and doing certain sympathetic magic rituals. And I sometimes feel that when it's happening. I've had a few situations, especially in the past month and a half, where I've literally felt a ritual that I felt it viscerally, right? And I could tell it was sympathetic magic. This feels like box or jar magic, where someone has tried to trap you in a reality, maybe in a box or a jar, and they are blowing smoke into that box or that jar, because that's what I was seeing, right? And so when I began to dive into, because everything energetically is just a reflection of the physical, the spiritual, the things that people do to get spiritual effects are often a reflection of how energies play out physically too, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to think about what, smoke does. Smoke clouds judgment. Smoke blurs your vision. Smoke causes constriction in the throat and the chest. And I did start to cough and feel like my throat was closing down again, as if I was literally in being exposed to like a lot of smoke inhalation. So third eye, clouding vision, throat, definitely. And then, of course, lungs and heart to a certain extent too. But also then I went to look into the lyrics of that song, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. And the lyrics around that are about a person who believes in the power of this love relationship that they have. And everyone around them is like teasing them and telling them, you can't see clearly because you're in love. And this person says, no, I believe that my love is true. And everyone around him is making fun of him. And then the love that this person has with another person, it stops, it fails, the relationship fails, and this person is left heartbroken. And what I really kind of began to hone in on was, well, what exactly is being done, and why is someone trying to cloud someone's vision or to silence them in some way? And it does very much feel like it is love related. It does feel like it's love related, and there have been very, very real attempts to get in the way of unions coming together, or unions that have already come together, thwarting the path of them. That was a very powerful energy storyline theme that was coming through the full moon in Gemini in December, right before the solstice window. And I didn't realize until later on today, that with the 2-2 gateway, because it was the 2nd of February, it's technically the 3rd now, it's like 1 a.m. as I record this, but the 2-2 gateway is about the materialization of timelines, but 22 also connects to partnerships. It can connect to the material timelines of divine partnerships, divine contracts. So it's interesting. Not for nothing, today is also, technically it's in bulk. So it's that halfway point between the solstice in December and the equinox coming up next month in March, I believe. So I think it's the halfway mark that we're at right now with Imbolc. And that has to do also with the goddess Brigid, who is, she's a divine feminine warrior emblem, but she's also very much connected to the peace and the protection of the home, right? A protector of women and children also. Yes. So I'm getting box jar magic, attempted temple desecration. And when I say temple desecration, I'm talking about literally messing with the temples on your head, right? So these points on your head are called your temple, and they are on either side of your third eye. So I've been feeling a lot of different things today, as well as like pineal gland decalcification, which I feel is also a result of some of these attacks, because understand and overstand at this point that all of these attempts to try to pull people into lower timelines, they might have some traction initially, but they don't have a foundation to be rooted in anymore. So they're relying on you, they're relying on me, they're relying on all of us, falling into fear and kind of creating the spell for ourselves and rooting it in our own energy fields based upon our own fear, because the collective fear templates and the old world grid system that supported the trauma and narcissistic abuse patterns and spell work that they had all of us under to varying degrees in order to keep us stuck in karmic suffering, karmic loops, and what I call their quantum entanglement programs. All of that has collapsed. Their old world grids are dead, and the new earth grids are activating more and more. And what that means is that the energy work, the spell work that they did, it no longer has a way to root. So it's like casting seeds on barren ground whenever they try these methods of energy wars and attacks. But if you know anything, some seeds are resilient and they will grow in that kind of, situation, but many won't, especially if the seeds that you're seeking to plant are not, like weeds, or what people call weeds. I don't like that word because that's some fucking potent medicine. The weeds give us resilience and power, but you get what I'm saying? Like if you put certain seeds on rocky ground, they're not going to root, they're not going to grow, right? So yes. So a few other things that were coming through. The number 60 is significant. The 22nd to the 29th of this month may be significant. And as I say that, I realize I wrote that because that was just the number I was given. The 22nd to the 28th of this month. The 22nd to the 29th of last month might have had some kind of significance for you too, in terms of shifting, in terms of feeling these energies, in terms of feeling like something was trying to mess with you in some kind of way. But as I say the 22nd, I'm reminded now of the 222 portal, right? So that would be that also. There's some Capricorn and Leo significance here with those two numbers, 22 and 29. And what was also coming through is that there is a materialization right now of timelines that are connected to the 888 creation code. So that's another reason for a possible reason for this working. Okay, so I'm going to just go back a little bit and give you the two possible reasons for this working. One would be to try to cause distortions and issues with divine partnerships, whether they're romantic, platonic, professional, it doesn't matter. And then the second thing would be because it's time to materialize the timelines that are deeply connected to your 888 creation code. So what it was you were working towards in last year's 888 portal, that was a really big one because it was a 888 portal, right? Because it was a number 8 year. So some of those timelines are wanting to be materialized at this point. And so, we'll get into some of the possibilities as to why this is occurring. But those are the downloads I have. So, yes, I'm going to go into cards now. Before I do that, I do want to take a moment. I didn't welcome you all here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your love and your support. Thank you to those of you who, support me on my other channels, Solarah Rises, as well as those of you who've made your way over to my platform, solarah.xyz, where you can get daily content from me, either free or also I have a tier system over there. So if you'd like to get content from me on the daily and stay on top of, receiving guidance, then check me out over on solarah.xyz. And what else? Let me give you the announcements quickly. So on February the 8th and February the 15th, I am beginning my group Q&As again. So there will be limited availability, limited seating for both group Q&As. It's a small gathering where I can pull a card for you if you like. I can answer a question or channel, but it's really about coming together and supporting you in whatever it is you're going through. And things have gotten pretty intense. I haven't actually hosted these group Q&As since I think August was the last time I was running them, and they were quite popular at the time, and a beautiful sense of community was built. And so I'm opening them up again. You can find all information for that in the description box below. You can purchase your tickets through Ko-Fi. Okay. I am doing a special on the month of February on divine alignment readings. I am divine alignment readings that are one-to-one. So those of you who want to meet with me via video chat for a divine alignment reading, I am running a special in February. Again, I'm limiting the amount of readings that I'm doing through there. So if you're interested, if you know that's something you want to do, I suggest you make your way over to Ko-Fi. Once you make your purchase, you can contact me and we can figure out the best day, and time to meet. We can schedule an appointment time. But yes, and also for those of you who are interested in soul recovery sessions with me for 60 or 90 minutes, whichever suits you better, the sign up and the ability to book for the month of February, that's also now up on Ko-Fi. Okay, so I think that's all of the announcements. I think I want to get into cards now. I'm just trying to decide what deck to begin with. I feel like given what it is, the nature of what it is I've been seeing, I should go into one of my Karmic Chronicle decks. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to keep this reading short because I think the downloads are pretty self-explanatory. We'll see if we get any extra details here. But I have, like I said, 2 other videos and downloads I want to get out at this time also. Mercury magic, so communication blocks, that connects again with the throat chakra. Mercury magic, communication blocks, but also the ability to put things out into the world generically. So this has to do also with technology. This has to do with your ability to flow with your healing energy. And this also has something to do with connecting with the fullness of your expanded mind. Because Mercury is the ruler over Gemini and Virgo, and its planetary rulership has different purposes in each sign. In Gemini, the mercurial energy of Gemini helps us to connect to the infinite wisdom and information that exists cosmically, and the mercurial energy of Virgo helps us to make sense of that and to apply it for what it is we need on our individual journeys. So Virgo discerns and integrates the information, and Gemini gives us access to it. So this is also to do with your expression of truth. Divine communication. If you have, if this is a situation where you're dealing with a divine partner and your communication has been scrambled in some kind of way, then this could be the reason why. So I just want to show you that this, I know it comes back to forth, but I just want to show you that this is the card that came out. Mercurial magic. So yeah, respiratory and speech organs. Cerebrospinal function and fluid, so that's the information moving up and down. So this could also be speaking about attempted kundalini blocks, hands and arms, right? So yeah, because that's the Gemini. Thyroid and gut. So the thyroid is a gland that is responsible for so many mechanisms within your body, connected to your immunity, connected to temperature, to your metabolic rate. So this is something about putting you out of alignment with time, alignment with timelines. And in fact, when I went to do research into what temple was etymologically speaking, because I was like, why do they call, these parts temple? And obviously to me, on a spiritual level, it's because this is where the seat of your consciousness, as it connects to the divine, that's the meeting point, is the crown, right? So it makes sense that that would be a temple. I don't think it's the only temple that you possess in your body. I think even your womb space is a temple, your heart is a temple. I feel like there are different temples, but for whatever reason, biologically and generically speaking, we speak about this part of the body very specifically being temple. So I was interested, and when I did a search on the etymology, it broke down to, I think, the Latin, which was tempus, which means time, right? Time. So again, like the timeline fuckery, it's always a case. It's just by which method are they doing it and for what reason a lot of the time. Okay, so I have here, write a decree or mission statement. Write a decree or a mission statement. Decide who you are and what your boundaries are and put it in writing. Decide who you are and what your boundaries are and put it into writing. Okay, so for those of you who may not be aware, I've written quite a few decrees, and I've published some of them on my Ko-Fi. They are available for free or by suggested, whatever donation you want to make towards my work. I have also just about a week and a half ago put up my Breaking False Matrix Envy templates, Solar Plexus Recovery Decree. I have put that up in audio format, okay? That one very specifically I wanted to do because we're moving to the full moon in Leo, and of course the energy of solar plexus recoup is very big around Leo energy. So if you want to use my decrees as a template for how to write one, that's fine. You don't have to use it verbatim or anything, okay? So this is like speaking about stating your case, what you will and what you won't accept. And even when I say that, 1:22 on my clock, even as I say that, I think about how much easier it is right now to discern what are your true organic thoughts and feelings versus those that are seeking to implant into your energy field, or those that are an old program that are seeking to continue to run. So one of the best practices we can have is observing our thoughts and our feelings, and instead of judging them, and instead of running away with them, right? So instead of like falling into a place of despair because you have a thought, you instead take a look at that thought and find out, is it really valid, before you allow it to take you into an emotional stream that causes you to create certain timelines within your reality that aren't even yours and that you don't even want to participate in. So when you observe, you're in more observer mode, then you're able to see, oh, wait a minute, because here's the what would you call it, like the bar. Here's the bar that decides whether a thought is truly organically yours or not. And when I say organically yours, you have many thoughts that are born of woundedness and karmic patterns that you have developed over time, and you've taken them on as your own, as if they belong to you, but that doesn't make them your organic thoughts. They are thoughts you've accepted as your reality. You believe them to be true because you've put the energy behind them through the repetition of thinking and acting on those things, and probably because those are things that were constantly being streamed into your mental and emotional fields, right? But the truth of the matter is that your true organic thoughts that are in divine alignment with who you actually are, your I am truth, and who Source says you are, they will never be self-rejecting. So thoughts that make you reject yourself oftentimes are not organic, are not thoughts that are of your organic mind, your organic divine higher mind. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so at the bottom we do have blood rituals. That doesn't surprise me. That was coming through in a different way for me earlier too. And then also suicide or unaliving entities. That again is the mental magic and the psychic attacks, because I was just talking to somebody about this today. I've dealt with this ideation since I was 6 years old, and when I learned how to observe my thoughts, I began to realize that energy was never me. It was always an entity trying to pass itself off as me in my own mind. And I realized when I realized that, it made it easier to fight through, because I still get those psychic attacks. It's a barrage of energy that hits me, and this is how I know it's like that's a pure psychic attack. That's someone else's like fierce intention that they're directing into my energy field, and they're hoping it will stick. It doesn't stick anymore. It's torturous to go through a lot of the time because it's re-traumatizing, but it's like when you're able to discern the fact from the fiction about who you are versus what other beings want you to believe about yourself for their own nefarious purposes, you are able to push yourself out. And for many of you, you're at that place where when you observe a thought and you realize it's not your own, and you realize it's even an entity or an energy trying to invade upon your consciousness, and you tell that thing to fuck off, it will do it instantly. It will do it instantly, and you will feel the shift, and you will reclaim your mind in that moment. So don't be afraid of that, because I had a lot of the time when you are in the midst of this intense warfare, it's like you forget some of these things, you forget these skills. And I was in this battle for about, a couple of weeks, and I wasn't in a fear state per se, but it was annoying. And finally, when I just stood up to the energy and I was like, you are not going to use me to do this, instantly it left, and it hasn't been back. Okay, so like I said in the original download, they can't be hidden in the dark anymore, because you're coming back into your body. And what I mean when I say you're coming back into your body, your true Christ consciousness is coming back into your body both ways. Your Kundalini is rising, and your true, ascended self is also descending into your body. Okay, so it's no longer going to just be something etheric. Like, many of you are anchoring in and embodying your divine truth. You're able to connect your avatar to that now. You couldn't before. You couldn't anchor it into yourself because there was a frequential aberration. So when you're not the right frequency, you automatically reject your true self. And this is what these entities wanted you constantly in self-rejection, so that you would reject your true self. But now you're rooting into your truth and who you actually are. Your Kundalini is also helping to clear out a lot of those densities. And as that occurs, you're also coming into your own body, I hope that makes sense. So yeah, they are trying to figure out how much you know. I'm going to put this deck down now. Another thing that was coming through is that I really do believe in the power of utilizing your own voice to program yourself back into your own settings. And I do that as a practice myself, and I recommend it to other people. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I've had this, chat with people in different ways over the years, and I've had this issue myself, right, where many of us don't like our own voices, or we think we don't like our own voices, or we think we don't like how we look, and we don't like to record ourselves and see ourselves being played back, and we don't like to hear our own voices being recorded. And that in and of itself oftentimes is also not you, because again, I'm going to reiterate what I said before. There is nothing when you are walking in alignment with who you actually are divinely that rejects yourself. You will not reject the sound of your own voice. You will not reject your own image. That is always an indication of energies that have usurped your consciousness, or programs that are still in play from woundedness and trauma that you have to take a look at. Okay, and I had a really profound experience when I put on some of my own subliminals earlier on with my own voice, and I could feel this energy circulating around my crown that wanted to me to think I was rejecting the sound of my own voice and what I was saying. But these things are so crafty at this point, but I'm so aware that that's not my nature. So I picked up on it instantly, and I told that thing to fuck off, and it left. But I could feel it trying to get into my consciousness and get me to reject what it was I was saying about myself. And all the things I was saying about myself aligned with the truth of who I am divinely, aligned with my soul's purpose, aligned with my I am truth. And so for my own consciousness, my own mind to try to push that out, I knew it wasn't real. It's not me. I would never do that to myself. Once upon a time, I did do that to myself because I took on the voices of imposter energies and I took them on as being my own. But now I'm kicking them out. You can't speak anything over me, into me, about me that I'm going to sign off on if it's not in alignment with my truth, you know? And the more that we're doing that, the more our consciousness, our true infinite wisdom, it's coming back online and it's coming back on board. And here's the thing, I was writing about this in today's Moonrise Musing on Solarah.xyz, like as within, so without. So as the most subtle, hidden, sneaky, shady, shisty, shitty energies that have been like low-key bunking in your consciousness and masquerading themselves as you, as you're able to discern the sneakiest of those energies, what you're actually doing for the collective picture is you are unveiling all of those shady, shisty, secret, deep state energies and stories and agendas and programs and initiatives that have been hidden under the cover of that secrecy. Because once we begin to really face ourselves and see ourselves truly, then the world must reflect that back to us. So we are coming into a time, we're getting ever closer to a time of full disclosure. And that's in so many ways. In one way, it's a very personal, unique thing because you are going to gain full disclosure of who you really are. You know, you're going to start to actually come face to face and not just intuit. And when that occurs, and it occurs for many of us, then that energy ripples throughout all time and space on the earth planes and beyond. But we're focusing on earth right now. And what that is going to do is bring the full disclosure of everything that's been hidden and designed to hurt us and to harm us and to hinder us and to silence us and to fuck with our timelines. So it's always been you and I. It's always been us creating this reality. We weren't doing it consciously, but now we get to. Okay. So there's still a definite, like, with this blood rituals, there's definitely a you know, that card that came out before them, you know, wanting to figure out how much you know, blood rituals. I mean, family could be, you know, always, you know, always, almost always is. 7 of Coins. This is Taurus energy, the 20 to 29 degrees of Taurus. Interestingly enough, Uranus just stationed to go direct, and it was at 23 degrees. It is at 23 degrees Taurus when it went direct a few days ago. It's still at 23 degrees Taurus. And I believe Uranus stationed to go retrograde, or like right in that very powerful energy window that occurred around the 888 portal all the way into Virgo season. Uranus stationed to go retrograde right around that time. And so I was saying before that there's something to do with the materializing of timelines that are connected to these 888 creation codes. And this is also something to do with Uranus going direct. And it's also something to do with shit that's been done again over the solstice window. And, you know, for those of you who've been hanging with me for a while, you'll know I talk about the energy harvesting calendar of the false matrix. And December solstice is when they try to get away with like grand heist energy of stealing all your fucking codes that come through the 888 portal. You know, that's what they've been doing for eons. You get what I'm saying? But I don't want to get into it too much right now because it's a whole other, you know, whole other rabbit hole to go down. But the 7 of Coins interesting. So it says, write a decree, decide who you are and what your boundaries are. Decide who you are and what your boundaries are. And with the Seven of Pentacles, you do have sulfur. And sulfur is a very powerful mineral for creating boundaries also, for banishing, for protection. I feel like also with the Seven of Pentacles, it's connected to the Chariot. This is, again, the materialization of, golden child energies. That's what the Chariot is connected to. And the golden child is everything that you birth through the union, the inner union. And then, if you're with another person, what you birth with them. It's part of your divine legacy, right? Is a golden child. And that's the Chariot is a golden child energy. I'm saying all of this because the Chariot is the number 7 major arcana, which means it's connected to the 7 of coins. The Chariot realized materially is in fact the 7 of coins realized on earth. So this is definitely about also deep light body activations that are coming online, and also the attempt to prevent such a thing. Page of Swords. There's always dual energies because we live in polarity, not duality per se, but polarity. And so the Page of Swords is an interesting one because on the one level it can speak about watcher energy, monitoring spirits, beings that are researching, stalking, that kind of thing. Can be cyber stalking even with the swords energy. But it also speaks of, dedication. It can also speak of dedication. It can also be about speaking truth. Speaking truth. I feel like for many of you, you're being called deeper into setting out on paths that you may not yet have the map of where it is you're going or even what the destination is. You're just being given the first few steps. I get that from her looking at this windy road, right? And then, I don't know if you can see it, but there are certain milestones, like certain symbols that are on her path that are becoming like almost markers. I almost want to say that the energy that's coming through is also wanting you to take a look at previous situations that are very similar in what it is that you're embarking on right now, and to remember the markers on those timelines. And what I mean by that is that we have all had situations where we've been told to do something intuitively and it doesn't make any sense materially. It goes against the grain of everything we've been taught to think and to do, right? And so in that, the fear arises, which is like a frequency fence that is designed to like push you back into the position that the false matrix wanted you in. And it's Agent Smiths were trying to always push you, use fear to put you in a corner, put you in your place. But when you follow your intuition and you feel the fear but you push past it anyway, in some of the most almost dire of situations, when you've done that, you might remember that all of a sudden there's a sudden timeline jump into like something beautiful, right? That you would have never, in your own limited thinking, you would have never thought that making that decision that seemed really foolish would get you to that destination. And it's almost like the guidance is to try and remember that right now, because truth be told, many of us are in really tight situations right now. It's just the nature of what is happening as everything crumbles and falls apart. And for those of you who follow me on Threads, I was talking about this last week. A channeled message came through where I was saying that some of you right now you're living in a place financially where it's literally hand to mouth. Like you need something, it's provided for, but you don't have really anything more than that in that moment. And the message that was coming through about that is because y'all are the ones who are, you guys are the ones who are rooting in the true earth financial system again on the earth, right? So some of those of you who that is the case, you are oftentimes some of the richest beings cosmologically speaking. But remember, that's not yet, well, no, I shouldn't say that's not yet. It is in the space of materializing now, but it hasn't materialized yet. So you might know that on a conscious level, but it hasn't yet materialized. And that whole idea of that hand-to-mouth way of living may have you doubting, but the reason that would be the case is because the more you alchemize your fear and your doubt around that, the more you're able to re-anchor into the earth planes, the true frequency and energy we're supposed to have around money or around provision, which is that the false matrix purposely split us to constantly live in the past or live in the future, but not in the now. Because when we don't live in the now, we're constantly lamenting or we're worrying. And when we're lamenting and we're worrying, we're getting ourselves stuck in karmic suffering and the loops that support that. And so we were constantly being made to feel like we were on the brink of extinction, like we constantly were struggling and striving just to survive. And that actually isn't your true organic and natural state or the intention that Source or the Divine Father and the Divine Mother ever had for you. Once upon a time, we didn't have to hoard anything. We didn't have to hold on to anything. We just let everything flow towards us as it was supposed to, you know, and we were always more than taken care of, like not even, surviving, but thriving. And we never worried about where the next thing was coming from because we just knew. We just lived in the now, knowing that we were always taken care of, right? And so we've lost that, and we need to reestablish that sense of trust in self and the divine again. And, I'm thinking about that 144 on my clock. I'm thinking about that scripture. I forget I think it might be in Matthew, where Yeshua is talking to the disciples and he's like, look at the birds. They have no worries. They always know that they're going to be fed, that they're going to be taken care of. And then he posits a question to them: how much more will your heavenly Father, when you're made in his image, right? Quote unquote, because I don't buy a lot of what it is that they've written in the Bible anymore, although it still has value. Everything has value, right? But he says, like, how much more will you be taken care of, right? So when we live in the now, we're always, not even just scraping by. Like, we have more than what it is. We have more than what we need. We have enough for ourselves and to share and to give in beautiful ways to one another too. And a lot of the reason why many of us are dealing with that hand-to-mouth energy right now is because it's time for us to step into the fullness of our God power, to expand our minds past the survival root chakra programming of the false matrix, to remember this truth and to introduce and open the doors back into that reality in real time. In real time. I think I actually want to close this out now because, like I said, I have other readings I want to do, and I think this is a good amount of time. The 45 minutes is a good amount of time. Let's see, are there any... I feel like I do want to go into my Dragon and Unicorn deck. This is 2 decks I've combined together. The Dragon Oracle deck by Diana Cooper and the Magic of Unicorns Oracle deck, also by Diana Cooper, because the dragons and the unicorns, they work together. Oop, that's too much. I'm actually just going to push myself away a little bit because I think, or maybe I just need to push this. It's a big deck and like all the cards want to fly, and my space here with this microphone setup is limited. Okay, we'll take those 2. We've got two dragon cards coming out. We've got Emerald Dragon, brings in healing and cosmic abundance. We're just talking about that. Good fortune is coming. Let your thoughts support your divine perfection, align with your 5th dimensional blueprint. So remember, all of these attempted attacks, they're all activations. They're all activations. This is what enables you to come higher into the truth of who you are. If you didn't have that quote unquote devil's advocate, how would you remember your power? How would you remember if you weren't being challenged in some kind of way? Golden Atlantean Dragon. This is actually gonna be something I talk about in another reading. There's something very significant that's been closing out around Atlantean timelines and divine partners, and I will get into that with the next set of downloads. But it says, helps you remember the wisdom of golden Atlantis. Awaken, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents, reclaim your mastery. So again, these 888, the materialization of the 888 codes are very much connected to your golden codes, your golden codes, your codes that are here to kind of set you off for this new golden era. And so this is like calling you to do what it is we've been talking about, and that is aligning with your divine mind, your I am truth, as opposed to all of those, sneaky energies that are still trying to make their way and use your consciousness as a channel for them to live in and through you, but they're not able to do that, right? So Rose Gold Cosmic Pool, this is a unicorn card at the bottom. Rose Gold Cosmic Pool, bathe in cosmic love, soak up wisdom. So yeah, I love this. Bathe in cosmic love. 20 is the judgment card in the tarot, connected to Scorpio as an astrological degree, number 20. I love this. Bathe in cosmic love. I love it because we are just coming out of a beautiful Neptune-Venus conjunction. So yesterday we had the moon meeting Venus, the moon meeting Neptune. And today it's continued with just Neptune and Venus at the 28 degrees of Pisces. And when I did some research about that, I found out, very interestingly enough, that we are having 3 Venus-Neptune conjunctions this year, which is huge, right? They won't be in Pisces again. They'll probably be in Aries, but I find that to be very interesting. I didn't look into it because if it retrogrades again, I don't think it's going to retrograde before that time, because the next Venus-Neptune conjunction is on March the 27th, and then the following one is on May the 2nd. So Venus will be going into her retrograde period while she's in Aries. Her retrograde is coming up, but Neptune has just come out of retrograde not too long ago. So, but Neptune's very slow moving. So it is possible that the next time that Venus and Neptune meet on March 27th, because Venus has been is about to go through a retrograde, that it will be at the 29 degree mark of Pisces. It's possible. that it will be there, or it will be right at the very beginning of Aries. Either way, it's going to be interesting, because, like I said, there's 3 Venus-Neptune conjunctions. There's normally only 1 every year. Okay, so not for nothing, both Venus and Neptune are the planets that connect us with love. Venus connects us with the materialization and the experience of love and beauty, in our bodies, like experiencing it, expressing it in bodily form. But Neptune is the planet that, helps us connect to the infinite possibility of love. Neptune connects our emotional bodies to the streams of cosmic information that connects us to love, right? So Mercury does that with our minds. It connects us to the infinite information, wisdom, knowledge that exists cosmically. And Neptune does that with our hearts. And Venus is how we are able to anchor this love into our bodies, into our material planes, between one another in real time. So this is very powerful, because what it's showing us with this, these 3 rendezvous that Venus and Neptune are going to have, is that there are higher love activations that are streaming the planet right now. And I say higher love activations. What I mean by that is that it's been very, very difficult for us to love unconditionally on this planet. Okay, our desire might have been to love unconditionally, but everything that was set up was designed so we wouldn't, was designed so that love became transactional, was designed so that we needed something from someone, whether it was material, financial, whether it was emotional, it doesn't matter. It's like we were constantly in this battle of needing someone for something that really we should have been able to give to ourselves, but because we were, separated from our ability to connect with source energy and to pull all of our infinite and multidimensional gifts onto the earth, we became dependent upon one another. And we were not supposed to live as dependents upon one another. We're supposed to live in interdependence, right? So as individual, independent beings who are able to come together in their wholeness and to share from that place of wholeness and being, full of self, as opposed to what they did in the false matrix, which was constantly cause depletion, where then we would outsource and try to find things from other people that we should have been able to provide for self, but we didn't even know, for one thing, that we were supposed to be doing it for self, or how to, So this is where all of the codependent paradigms were born. This is why narcissism, narcissistic, dynamics were so great. Like the whole false matrix was based upon narcissistic victimizer templates, because it was necessary in order to energy harvest, to create those dynamics between people where some were bullies and others were bullied. And sometimes they were switching back and forth in positions, because in a world where we are all properly valued for who we are, there's no need to try to take from one another in that way. There's no need to diminish and to devalue in order to rise, because your rising is all rooted in just your own soul's purpose and your connection to source. It has nothing to do with dragging another being down. It's stupid to think like that, because you're not doing anything but dragging yourself down. But that's what they wanted us to be doing in the false matrix, and not even realize that's what we were doing. So to go back to the, this card and the rose gold cosmic pool, and bathe in cosmic love and soak up wisdom, we are really in this energy right now where we are receiving activations that help us to learn how to really love again. To really love again, love without agenda, love without abandon. I was writing about that this weekend on Solarah.xyz. And for those of you who, are on Solarah Rises with me, I was also talking about it on there with this past new moon in Aquarius, how we are reconnecting to the cosmic love story, and the cosmic love story has something to do with other people, but it first and foremost has everything to do with a full reconnection with self and a full reunion with source, and the ability for source energy to fully flow and anchor through us again, so that we are actually equipped to love other beings without agenda. Because even when we didn't mean to, even when our hearts were, our intentions were pure, we still weren't really able to, especially because we were so deeply wounded and traumatized, and we're still working through that. So these activations and these Venus-Neptune conjunctions, these rendezvous they're having over the next couple of months, they're all here to return to us our codes to be energetically sovereign and independent, so that we are in a position to love unconditionally. It's hard to love unconditionally in states of survival. It's really difficult to do that. It's possible, it takes a lot of fucking self-discipline and self-awareness. And then again, that's also not how you were supposed to you weren't supposed to have to struggle to achieve this. Because God is love, source is love. One of the highest powers is love. Love in action is there's one of the greatest forces is love. So it shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be difficult. It's just who you are when you are in your organic state, when you're back. And this is what coming back in your body is about. It's embodying that reality again, that you are and always were a love-based being that was programmed into fear states to keep you from rising back into your truest, most powerful form. And this is these Venus-Neptune conjunctions are giving us all the help we need to really anchor in our cosmic love story, and to do it through the new earth grids also, and to also have a very deep understanding and overstanding that it's your cosmic love story that has and always will connect you to abundance. Because when you are in full alignment with yourself and you are, reunited, you're in union with self, and that cosmic love story is in play, right? That's what opens the door to every other thing of abundance, including relationships, romantic relationships, platonic relationships, soul tribe relationships. All of this is coming on board now again too. This is a big time of soul tribe reunions happening now also. This is what this Venus-Neptune conjunction is making possible for us again. So we're relearning how to actually properly love without agenda, because we're losing the survival mode stories and timelines that had us dependent on one another instead of interdependent. So yeah, that's what I have for you. I hope that this reading and these downloads were helpful and insightful. Again, if you would like to, work with me, you can feel free to check out either solarah.xyz, which is my main writing platform. Solarah.info is still it's still there. So if you just need to read up on my services, you can do that. You can also go to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/Solarah Speaks, if you would like to buy me a coffee or show your appreciation in that way, or if you'd like to, take a look at the free resources, or if you would like to avail yourself of the discount for the Divine Alignment readings for February, or to join me for a group Q&A. All of that information is on Ko-Fi. Again, if you'd like to join me for daily content, then you would do that through solarah.xyz. I think that's it. I thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here, not only here on this channel, but here on the earth at this time. I thank you for all the ways you've supported me this past month of January and all of the months before. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your tips, your donations, your bookings, your presence, and your input and your insight. I appreciate you guys, and I love you. And I will see you hopefully very soon again with the next round of downloads. Take care.